So let's look a little bit at this heat exchanger construction, a little bit at this condensate, and give a couple comments. Now, I think the first place you start is if you got water vapor raining in a boiler and you're mixing it with CO2, which is carbon dioxide, you're going to form carbonic acid. And this acid is going to have a pH of around 3 to 5. That's just good. That's just the way the combustion works. You're going to wind up with a pH of 3 to 5. And this is going to be on the wetted areas of the heat exchanger. I mean, you're below 130 in the heat exchanger, so they're raining on the boiler. You've got this condensate being formed, and that's going to be the pH you got to deal with. So we've got to make sure we pick the right heat exchanger material. If you survey the market today, we see 3 basic types of heat exchangers being used. Stainless steel, aluminum, and cast iron. I would say it would be a fair statement that the vast majority of the condensing boilers being sold are stainless. I would say vast majority. But these other 2 materials are out there, and let's take a quick look at them. If I look at stainless first, which is the vast majority of it, this technology came from Europe. The Europeans have been doing condensing boilers for 15, 20 years before we really got around to it. And it's stainless, 316L. The designs came from Europe for every basic American boiler made. And then we got a second generation going on where we got some of our own designs. But the original designs on these really came from Europe. So nice thing about stainless, it handles a wide range of pH. That's why we have stainless to begin with. I've got 2 statements here, and you got to be careful when you start applying these. Low water volume or high water volume. Most of the stainless steel heat exchangers are going to have a very low volume of water. You know, you got a cast iron boiler, you can make it huge. You can have hundreds of gallons of water in it because the cast iron doesn't cost you that much. But if you're going to take your heat exchanger and make it stainless, you're going to make the heat exchanger small, right? So it winds up being very small, little modular heat exchangers, and there's very little water volume in most of these heat exchangers. But I caution you, you need to look at your brand of heat exchanger you're buying, the product you're buying, to see which way it may be. That's why I've got the double statement, low water volume, high water volume, because it's going to depend on the brand. It's going to depend on the type of material you're using. Most of the time, the stainless is going to be a very low volume. And last comment, it's the most corrosion-resistant material we have out there, highly successful. Most of it will be stainless. We also see some aluminum heat exchangers. And aluminum heat exchangers are attractive first calls compared to stainless. They are usually pressure limited. The ones I've seen are 50 to 60 pounds normally. You can get them higher, I'm sure, but I've seen some pressure limitations, so be aware that when you use them. But it is aluminum. And if you check out a chart of aluminum, there is a narrow range of pH that aluminum is acceptable in. And you have to deal with that. So when you check the IONM on these aluminum heat exchanger condensing boilers, they all will give you the statement that you got to have a good chemical treatment system to neutralize that 3 to 5 pH, stay in warranty. If you do that, fine. But you got to make sure that you do have a chemical treatment system, and you got to make sure that you keep that pH neutral, or you violate their warranty. I'm just trying to tell you, if you're going to use them, fine. They work great, but read the IONM and make sure you got the right pH. Just that simple. Fairly low water volumes most of the time, just like the stainless. Cast iron, yeah, cast iron is being used as well. Now we know cast iron with carbonic acid is going to rust. That's okay. How can you get away with cast iron in a condensing boiler? The answer is very simple. You make the cast iron thick. You just make it thick. And the vendors that are using this type of an approach are making the heat exchangers out of thick enough material. They'll give you a 10-year warranty on them. And all they're saying is it won't rust out in 10 years. It's going to rust. It's going to form some damage up there from corrosion, but it will not eat through, and they'll give you a 10-year warranty. They do some special operating techniques to try to blow the condensate off the top of the heat exchangers a little bit, and they give you good heat transfer. There's no minimum return water temperature. They're fairly durable heat exchangers, as long as you can accept the fact that they're going to rust on you, and you're going to be eating into them over a period of time. So that would be the only comments there. They do work as long as you accept the fact they have to be thick. You've got to make sure you got thick cast iron. Have a great day. Thank you very much.